Hey guys from home, we are live today to talk all the latest in Bachelor Nation. As always, I am your host, Fiona Zaring. I am joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta. Gabby, hello, happy Wednesday, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm doing so well. Excited to jump on and talk all things Bachelor with you for this week.
Yes, as always, it has been an eventful week. When is it not in Bachelor Nation? Let's kick things off with an interesting update from a Bachelor alum who I don't think we've talked about in a minute. Melissa Rycroft. She was on Jason Mesnick's season of The Bachelor. This was back in 2009. She actually got Jason's final rose, but their story is one of those sad stories in Bachelor Nation. She was dumped on camera after he realized his true feelings for the runner up, who is now his wife, Molly Maloney, I think is how you say her last name. I just have to say, ouch, probably one of the most painful ways to go in Bachelor Nation. So my heart goes out to her. I didn't watch this season, but I'm glad that she is now married and happy herself. She is a former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. And after her time on Bachelor, she continued her journey with reality TV. She placed third on Dancing with the Stars the same year as her Bachelor win, if you can call it that. She then won the inaugural season of Dancing with the Stars All Stars back in 2012. She hosted a season of The Bachelor Pad. She then had a short-lived CMT reality show titled Melissa and Ty alongside her husband Ty Strickland. And then most recently, she hosted the final season of CMT's Redneck Island. So she's been very busy, doing all things reality TV since her time on The Bachelor. And a lot of fans have questioned, she was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She lives in Dallas. She's a family there. Why not make her one of the Real Housewives of Dallas? A fan actually asked her this question on social media, and she revealed that she has been kicked to the curb from the franchise not once but twice. She said, I've been interviewed and turned down twice. I am so not housewife material. So I just have to say, I'm looking at the facts on the table, and it sounds like she could be a really great fit, especially if the people want to see her. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like she's built up a great fan base who would definitely tune in if she were to ever be one of the Dallas Housewives. It definitely seems like she's a sweet Southern girl, obviously has a great personality from being on The Bachelor and being on all of these spin-off shows, especially Dancing with the Stars. You need to have real talent and personality to win those seasons. So I'm not surprised that people are wanting to see her on the show. I am surprised that they aren't biting at this and choosing her as one of the housewives. Although I'm not a big housewives watcher myself, but what I've seen of the shows, it's just pure chaos, so much girl drama or women, dealing with drama. And I don't know, I feel like Melissa, I'm sure she's got tied up in Bachelor drama here and there, especially with that crazy twist ending with Jason. But it seems like she's a sweet girl and obviously a great TV host. So I don't know if she is one of the crazy villains or one of the drama producing type people where the producers probably want that for a show like a Housewives, right? Because things can get pretty crazy, but that's what people tune in for.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm thinking back to like the days that I was a die-hard Housewives fan, and you know what? Maybe she just can't get to that level. There is a difference between the franchises, right? There are totally different vibes. So, very, very interesting for sure. You guys, before we move on and talk about the latest updates on Bachelor in Paradise, if you are new here and just joining us live for the very first time, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because, as we mentioned, there's a lot to keep up with in Bachelor Nation, and we will do our absolute best to keep you updated all the time. All right, we've been talking Paradise for a while now. Lots of rumors, lots of details up in the air. But it looks like, as of right now, sources are saying ABC has started working on trying to put together season 7 of Bachelor in Paradise. This is, of course, very exciting news, all things considered. But maybe we shouldn't get too excited just yet because sources are also sharing that the network is having a hard time getting contestants to sign on. One source told E! News casting has begun and some members of Bachelor Nation are apprehensive to sign up. They're wondering what direction the season will take and are curious if it will strictly focus on contestants falling in love. Another source shared with E! quote, they've put out several asks to Bachelor veterans. Many people are declining due to the current state of Bachelor Nation. A lot of people are removing themselves from the franchise. So Gabby, we have talked about the controversy over and over again on this show. You know, we've been following it all. Does this surprise you? Now that they're starting to make those calls, people are not necessarily feeling like now's the moment they want to jump back in. What do you think?
I'm not surprised at all to hear this, especially just coming off of Matt's season. I know with reality TV, you basically sign your life away. You sign your face, your name, your likeness, everything away to the producers to do with it as they want to. And as we saw with Matt's season, things went south. So, for many other reasons, it's obviously very layered, but it seems like it isn't enough time to make necessary changes in the franchise, whereas people who are upset with things that went down last season and things that have been going on for many years, they don't want to jump right back in and get back on that TV and be at the hands of the producers again when they don't necessarily trust them or just don't want to put themselves on the line like that again or go through all the emotional drama. People have been talking about in recent weeks how much emotional drama comes out of being a contestant on the show. Like, they don't take care of you. You go through all of this and then they kind of just spit you out, whether you end up with a partner or not. So from the contestant's perspective, it does seem like a huge commitment. I'm sure there's some people out there who maybe it's their dream to be on Paradise. They want the experience. So I'm sure there's going to be a couple people that sign up, maybe not the ideal members that the producers are wanting or that fans are wanting, but I feel like they won't have trouble getting a big enough cast to do a season.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, to your point, there is progress, like major progress that can only come from major changes. And we don't know what those changes are going to look like yet. We don't know how well received they're going to be. So I am with you. If I was a contestant, I might be like, you know what? One day I might go back on that beach, but I'd like to let a few seasons play out, you know, see if the tides turn before I throw myself back into, you know, literally the fire. You guys, if you're watching along with us right now, what do you make of this? Do you feel like, you know, this kind of makes sense given the givens, or are you surprised? Let us know in the chat. We're going to try to get to as many of your questions and comments as we can at the end. Now, listen, not all of the Paradise source reports are, you know, claiming that it may be a doomed season. We're actually getting the polar opposite from some sources. Some sources are claiming that it literally could be legendary. So let's get into this as well, because we want to, you know, play both sides of the story as we wait to see how things figure out. Another source said, this could be the best cast ever. So forget casting problems. It could be the greatest of all time. They explained, quote, there is talk of having 2 years worth of cast due to no Bachelor in Paradise last year. They're in talks with multiple former leads. For the first time in franchise history, there will very likely be former Bachelors and Bachelorettes hitting the beach in Mexico. So this is really interesting because, you know, as we look to history's past, some of those leads did not end up with, you know, beautiful love stories and are in different stages of being single and exploring dating right now. Usually we see some of the fan favorites who, you know, don't make it all the way to the end. But we're talking about maybe throwing some of the true leads back on the beach, which would be interesting. And to the point of multiple years, I mean, we haven't even seen the women from Peter's season, which to me feels like 100 years ago, take a chance on the beach yet. So it could be really interesting. I mean, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I was thinking that too. Wow, so long ago. As soon as you said they're thinking about bringing leads back, the first thing I thought of was Peter, and then I said, oh no, because that would just be insane. I honestly feel like he's someone that if he got the call to go to Paradise, he'd be like, oh, like, yeah, for sure. Like, kind of just going over his head that everyone's like, this was kind of the worst season. Like, we don't want to see any more of him. But it might be insanely entertaining. They could play it up, they could do a lot of stuff with it. I don't know. Maybe Kelly as well could come back. Maybe Bennett. There was rumors Kelly and Bennett were a thing. I know Bennett is obviously a fan favorite, a big name that we could possibly see in Paradise, but I don't know. It makes sense that they would have a lot to pull from because it's been so many seasons. We didn't have one last year, and I think if there wasn't so much controversy and so many flaws in the actual franchise right now, I think contestants would be begging the producers to be on Paradise this year because if it wasn't there, there would be so many people, like we said, to pull from. So unfortunately, there's some issues that are making people not necessarily want to go. But if one of these sources is saying that there's going to be a great cast and there's some awesome choices, then I'm excited to see who they come up with.
Yeah, I am absolutely excited. I mean, I'm kind of with you on the Peter thing. I think he would jump on it in a minute. And as much as I would love to revisit some faces from his season, I don't know if I'm ready to jump into Peter's journey to find love again, unless he is kind of reformed, let's just say. I don't know what you guys watching think. If you're fans of Peter, let us know. We get it. He can be very charming, but I do have a few bones to pick with him. I just can't let it go. There are, of course, some reports flying around of who the network wants on the beach. Whether or not they'll go is, kind of irrelevant at this point. We don't know. But some of the people that ABC is reportedly going after, according to E's source, would be Blake Hortzman, Tia Booth, and of course Becca Kufrin. Producers are reportedly not considering most of the women from Matt James's season, which we can talk about because that is interesting. Blake and Tia have both been contestants on past seasons of Paradise, so they would be returning to the format, to try their hand at finding love in Paradise again. So love all those names. Think that's cool, but I gotta know your thoughts. I mean, Matt's season, we talked about it a lot. The women were highly criticized for a lot of toxic behavior, a lot of drama. Do we like this? Do we not want to see a lot of those faces on the beach? What do you think?
I don't know. I think Paradise has always had the reputation of being just a looser structure where more drama can go down, more craziness can go down because there's just more people to deal with. So I think people that watch Paradise are more drawn to that wildness, whereas the Bachelor or Bachelorette is a little bit more structured. Of course, there's drama. So I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Victoria in Paradise. I think she belongs there, right? When we see eccentric characters, we're like, oh, they belong in Paradise. So
Right.
in that sense, it would make sense. But otherwise, people were complaining about Matt's season, how it was too much drama. We didn't even get to see the love stories. So in that case, I really feel like it would behoove the Bachelor producers to choose people who are really trying to find love so we can actually see some real love stories go down. And I would be completely surprised if Blake Hortzman made it back on the beach because, wow, his season of Paradise, he was the pawn on this huge chess game of all the drama. It seemed like the producers were throwing him under the bus and he was causing craziness. So that would be insane. I don't expect him to be back there, but maybe not because he's a little bit wild himself. So I'm not sure. This is a lot to think about, but it's going to be interesting for sure. What do you think? What are some names that you'd like to see down there?
So yeah, I'm totally with you, and I think that as you were saying, Victoria, I don't know if I can handle more Victoria, but I get it, I see it, I totally understand what you're saying. I don't know if I want it, but I totally think it would make sense, all things considered. Someone who is a drama starter on Matt's season that maybe I'd want to see more of would be an MJ. Because the MJ and Jasenia thing, I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, this is a mean girl. She had all these little moments sprinkled throughout that did not sit right with me. But then a lot of the contestants went to bat for her, had really great things to say. And the way she spoke of herself, I felt like I couldn't believe or not believe because we just didn't get to know her that well. So somebody like that with maybe a little bit of a streak of drama in them, but I haven't totally written off yet and I'm a little more curious, about. I would like to see maybe, potentially stir things up on the beach. So it can always get interesting. Some female fan faves like Brie, who I know we both loved from Matt's season, would love to see on the beach. Madison Pruitt and Hannah Ann, back from Peter's season. they've been asked, point blank in interviews, would you consider it? Would you want to do it? And they've been coy, they sort of tiptoe around it, seem like they're interested. I just feel like Hannah and Matt, I mean, that is such a long time ago at this point. I'm sure there was a moment when they really wanted to do it. The question is, do they still want to do it? Chelsea, though, from that season, someone who I always felt like seemed so cool, but we didn't super get to know her. She possibly just straight up teased an appearance in Paradise on her Instagram. She shared a photo of herself on the beach, and it's captioned, "Did someone say paradise?" So just an interesting thing to keep tabs on. Obviously we don't know anything yet. But who would you really love to see? Like a Brie, a Chelsea, someone not drama, you just really loved them and want to see more of them.
Yeah, Chelsea's post is very interesting. That could be just having fun, kind of poking fun at the fact that everyone's talking about who's going to be on Paradise this year, or it definitely could be a teaser to the fact that she's going to be. I'm sure fans would love to see her. I think other than Chelsea, Hannah Ann is probably a good pick. I could see her wanting to get back on TV as it seems like it's been forever, and she probably wants to get her face back out there again. And of course, Brie, I know she was saying that she doesn't fully trust the franchise again yet to get back on. Maddie Pruitt, I think I'm surprised that she would want to go on. It seems like it's a lot for her and she's just like perfect. So I think she's honestly too good for Paradise. But otherwise, I think, let's see, who's like a past person? I think Mike. Like, I still want Mike to like come back. I know he was on Paradise for like 1 week or something on the last season, and that didn't really work out. So I'd love to see him again, even him for Bachelor. Like, we've been asking for that forever. And I think I was in a clubhouse room this week. It was with some Bachelor people and Connor Saley, who was on Hannah Brown's season, and then also a season of Bachelor in Paradise where he was dating Kaylin for a little bit and kind of did some drama in there. He was teasing that he would consider going on Paradise this next time around if the person he has his eye on would also be going to Paradise. So I think he's like kind of flirting with someone in Bachelor Nation right now, and so they're trying to finesse both of them going. So in that case, people are actually trying to make sure that people who end up on the beach are people they actually want to date. So I'm interested to see what kind of pairings and what kind of dating scenarios are going to come out of whoever ends up on the beach this time.
Yeah, I mean, that is really interesting because Bachelor contestants seem like they're getting wise, right? They want to have a little more control. They want to obviously plan for success. If you can go into Paradise with your eye on someone that you have a little bit of a connection with, you've got a pretty good chance of sticking around for a while. So that is definitely a little interesting piece of info to keep our eyes on as well. If he does end up a part of the cast, that means we know somebody there he's interested in. I love that. We love all the gossip. For me, I'm going back to Peter's season, someone who I felt like did not get a fair shot at all. She got no time. She got like no real ability to succeed. Like it was just like one thing after another after another. And I always liked her for some reason in the teeny tiny moments we did get to see from her. So I would love to see, I'm now blanking on her last name, McKenna. Do you remember her from Peter's season? I think her Instagram was like McKenna Jean or something. She went viral for all of the funny faces. Like, she just didn't get a chance. So, would love to see her. And really anybody else like that. Those are the people I always feel for. Like, you barely got any time. And now, right at the end, even Jasenia, I'm thinking that season, you got no time, got no time, got no time. You finally get a chance. And the connections are just too far along. You're dead man walking. So anyways, lots of great women we could pull from. There are reports that some of the men from Tayshia's season have allegedly, this is just allegedly, locked in spots on the show, that they will definitely be there. The names being thrown around by sources are Noah, Chasen, and Spencer, which would be interesting. And another name from Tayshia's season who is not being like thrown around by sources, I would say this is like as good as confirmed, or at least it was at one point, is Joe. Everybody fell in love with him. We barely got to know him. He was tweeted about by ABC executive Robert Mills. He wrote on Twitter back in January that Joe was, quote, a vaccinated paradisian. He said this to response to Joe's Instagram story showing he got his second dose of the vaccine. So, I mean, if that's ABC exec saying Joe's going to be on the beach, I feel like unless something's really changed, Joe's going to be on the beach. Tayshia's season had such a great group of guys. We really commended their maturity. They seemed like they were ready to be there, you know, for the most part. Who would you want to see? I mean, the guy crop from Tayshia's season is pretty great. I would love to see Joe, maybe even Brendan. I mean, he wasn't quite ready, but maybe he's now.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Joe was one of my picks, so I'm certainly excited now after seeing and hearing about that. I'm sure that is true, that he's fully vaccinated, ready to get back on the show. He's such a fan favorite, so definitely hoping Joe's on there for sure. I think obviously Bennett is another one. Maybe they'll bring back Bennett and Noah to rehash some of that drama. It certainly was keeping me glued to my screen, so that would be interesting to see go down. I also love Chasen and Spencer, and I think Ivan was one of the last three. We got to know him really well, and he's just such a great guy. I would love to see him find somebody.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm super with you on Ivan. He seemed really, really ready, you know, totally committed to the process. Clearly, he was so good at communicating his feelings. Like, we could tell how head over heels for Tayshia he was. So if his heart has mended and he's ready to get back out there, I would love to see Ivan. You guys, we want to know who you would love to see. So hopefully you've been sending, you know, in some of your picks. I'm sure you guys have some great ones. Keep sending them in. We're going to dive in right now to as many questions, comments, as we can from you guys. You know, obviously we all love Bachelor Nation here, so we want to get as many opinions on the table as possible. Plus, honestly, sometimes you guys have picked up on things that we haven't even gotten to yet because you are truly detectives in your own right. So again, if you haven't sent in your question yet, make sure you do it because we're going to try to get to as many as possible. Starting with, let's see, Jessica says, former Bachelor lead date former Bachelor lead. That would be great.
Ooh.
That would be totally great. That could be super cool. I'm trying to I don't know if you can think of any possibilities in your head, Gabby, but we have Peter who's single right now. Hannah Brown is dating someone. Trying to come up with some potential matches, but that could be really cool.
Yeah, I really like that scenario. I think Claire and Dale are kind of still a thing, so probably not the trying to think back farther.
I know, it's tough. Obviously, they're teasing that leads could end up on the beach, so it feels like there must be people we're forgetting or who are slipping through our fingers that could, you know, maybe find another chance at love. The thing about leads is obviously the time they sign on to do their season, they're fully committed and ready and hoping, you know, to find love. So
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know, maybe it's wishful thinking, but hopefully that means that if you can get some leads on the beach, they're still, you know, ready, committed, looking for something long term, which, as we've discussed, Gabby, that's not always the case.
No, it's not. It's hard to jump back into that mindset too, though, especially when you had your whole season, you had a chance, and then they're like, okay, you ready to date again? And sometimes it's just a no. Next up, we have a comment from Natalie. She says, I want Peter Krause on Paradise. Oh, I'm not remembering who that is. You know who that is?
I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, he was on Rachel Lindsay's season. He had, you know, sort of almost, I want to say salt and pepper hair. Maybe I'm imagining that, but he was a really great guy. Can't remember how far he made it. But if it's who I'm thinking of, I think he's a pretty good one. He would be a good pick for Paradise if he's willing.
So he's the Peter we want in Paradise, then, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, he is a good Peter. There are so many repeats of names. It does get a little bit crazy to keep everybody straight, but
repeats.
I feel bad. I know. I don't want to rag on Peter too much. I would let Peter come to Paradise if he wanted to. Peter Weber. Mm-hmm. What a guy.
It's just a funny thing now. We just like to make fun of him. It's just a meme now. He's a great guy.
You know, it just reignited my, whatever it is, my passion for teasing him, I guess would be the nicest way to put it, after he couldn't make it work with Kelly. Because come on, Kelly is such a catch. I am such a Kelly fan. I felt like she was always too good for him. How could he let that slip through his fingers? I mean, come on, Peter.
Right. Exactly.
All right, this is a new one from Oliver. He says, I want Ivan in Paradise. I am totally with you. I was really, really rooting for Ivan. I remember when we got to the end of Tayshia's season, I felt like literally any of the guys would be so great. And I believed, it's very rare, I feel like, I believed in all of the connections across the board. But there was something really special about Ivan. He was really well spoken, put together, thoughtful, considerate, funny. I mean, he kind of checked all the boxes. But he sort of also had that nice guy, like underdog energy, you know? Almost he was like so nice. I worried for him. I didn't want him to get his heart
Yeah.
broken. So I'm with you, Oliver. I would love to see Ivan. I know you would too, Gabby.
Yeah, I would. I want him on Paradise simply so he can get a redo at the Fantasy Suites date because he just deserves more than that trailer.
Yes, I forgot about that. Totally gypped. We had what, like a trailer and then like a gorgeous suite. What was the third setup? I can't remember now. His was just so starkly the
Just,
worst.
yeah, exactly. Okay, where will they shoot Bachelor in Paradise? This is also still up in the air, right? I think it has to have a beachy scene, but I think Hawaii is the best bet. I'm no like location scout or no reality TV producer, but it seems like it's on the same caliber as Mexico while still being in the States, and it seems like it wouldn't be too hard to pull off. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I think we might end up seeing a beach in the US, and we've got some pretty good ones. They can, do some classic bachelor set decorating, amp up the tropical vibes a little bit if we need to. But depending on, it's all going to come down to, the timing of when they shoot. If they can get everybody vaccinated beforehand, I mean, I'm not in production, not a scout, not any of those things, but I'm just imagining those conversations. I mean, think about how much easier that would be. So if they can get everyone vaccinated, maybe an international location is like back on the table, right? But I feel like given the givens with the state of the world and how everything is so crazy right now, I'm with you. I'm thinking Hawaii feels like a really good bet. Maybe they go crazy. Maybe they do like, an East Coast beach, right? Like a very different, like Newport, Rhode Island, right? Like something that is not tropical vibes, but is still beautiful in, its own way to really just like give us that unique times, different vibes, different kind of season energy. I don't know. I would really be open to anything, truly. All right, let's see. Terrence
Um,
says, or what was that, Gabby?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I totally agree with you. And they could also just do the backyard pool route. Like, just go back to the Bachelor Mansion. There's a nice big pool there. It's not tropical at all, but it could work. Or a kiddie pool, literally whatever it takes to get Bachelor in Paradise back on our screens.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about the people. The beach and the beautiful setting is a bonus. It's definitely a bonus for them. I don't know, maybe that might be a selling point they're in need of right now, given the givens. But truly, you're right.
Yeah.
They can take it back old school, just buy the pool at the mansion. All right, let's see. Terrence said, how do you ladies feel about basically getting 4 back-to-back seasons? I feel pretty good about it, but I also feel like they have to meet the moment. There is no more room for, mistakes, lack of progress, fill in the blank. So I'm excited about the turnaround. I'm excited about how packed the schedule it is. Uh, but I would rather, if they can't, make some changes and get to where they need to get to, have waited. So I don't know. I'm looking at it glass half full. I'm hopeful, but I also just really hope they don't rush right now and then miss the moment because, for lack of a better way of putting it, they need to meet the moment, right? They're kind of out of time, out of excuses, out of, ways to get around the issues. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Does that make sense? How do you feel, Gabby?
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. I think the fact that they have so much planned already, it definitely shows their confidence in that they're ready to move forward, ready to still be producing content, still be creating these love stories for us. So I'm hopefully also confident that they're going to do that. But it's true that it takes time and it's hard. I think with Matt's season, it kind of proved that they tried but didn't hit the mark because there were still some issues or some holes that just didn't get filled, and so then we came up with a season that wasn't exactly perfect or exactly what people are wanting to see. So hopefully with that in mind, they can, like we were saying, make the necessary changes in a short amount of time, right? Because they're already starting to film things. So hopefully they're not going towards their same formula that they've used for many years that's worked, but are thinking of a new formula and something that's also going to work, but also please the viewers, please the contestants, and all of that. So it's a lot on their plate. I'm glad I don't have to do it. I'm just going to be at home watching like usual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, another one from Oliver. It says, who will be the host for Paradise? And that is a great question. As we've seen, they've already switched up the hosting choice a little bit from Chris to we have now Tasha and Caitlin Bristow hosting the Bachelorette season. So I think they're definitely going to go with somebody else for Paradise as well. I would love to see Wells Adams if he's not already confirmed to be the bartender again. I think he would be fantastic. Or even if it was like Wells and Sarah Hyland, his wife, because or fiance, I think, because she's great on TV as well. I think that would be super cute if a couple was giving advice to these people. So possibly that, someone else from Bachelor Nation. I'm not sure. What do you think, Fiona?
Okay, you took the words out of my mouth. I would love to see Wells. You know, he's already a familiar face in Paradise. He's hosted radio. I mean, Wells could do this, right? With his eyes closed. So I would love to see Wells. Sarah would be like the cherry on top. You mentioned other couples. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind, honestly, was JoJo and Jordan, but they are literally
Yeah.
like signed on to host it.
Yeah, Fiona is so right. JoJo and Jordan are already hosting another show together as a couple. I think it's called The Big D, which sounds very strange, but it's a show on a different network, not ABC, but it looks like it's a dating show, I believe. And yeah, I followed JoJo on Instagram, so I've been seeing everything that she's been posting during filming with Jordan. I would have never even thought about couples hosting the show, but now that I just came up with Wells and Sarah, and then also JoJo and Jordan, who have been amazing hosts in the past and could be an amazing host in the future. And it was a very tropical vibe. I think the show they were filming right now. So if they hopped right into Paradise and started hosting that, it would totally make sense. So I would love to see them. But of course, we want to know what you guys think. Who should host Paradise? That was a great question. So thank you so much for asking that. That is all we have to share with you for this live today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, leave comments on all these updates in Bachelor Nation that we've given you. Who do you want to see on the beach? Who do you want to see hosting Paradise? There's going to be so many updates coming up in the future, so make sure you follow us at Shared News to tune into all of our lives. I'm your host, Gabby Ganta. Fiona joined me for a little bit on the live today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.